Ever notice how you eat something for breakfast and by 10:30 your brain feels foggy, irritable, and desperate for more coffee? That's not a willpower issue. It's a fuel issue. And today I want to show you one of my favorite breakfasts that helps prevent that midday morning crash without spending a ton of time in the kitchen or overthinking food. Hi, I'm Dr. Lexi, and if you're busy, this probably feels familiar. You either grab something quick, maybe a bar, toast, or yogurt, or you skip breakfast altogether and just run on coffee until lunch. And then you wonder why your brain feels scattered, anxious, or completely drained a few hours later. What's happening is that most breakfasts, even the ones marketed as healthy, are heavy on carbs and light on the things that your brain actually needs to stay steady. When blood sugar spikes and crashes, your nervous system feels it first. That's when focus drops, anxiety creeps in, and energy disappears. Your brain is just asking for stable fuel. That's why I love these cottage cheese egg bites so much that I'm going to show you today. They're low carb, high protein, and incredibly simple. But more importantly, they give your brain the kind of fuel it actually runs. This recipe is inspired by one from Cooking Whispers. I'll link the original recipe in the description so that you can easily access it. I use it as a base and tweak the flavors depending on what I'm in the mood for. And what I love about this recipe is that it isn't rigid. It's just a foundation. Plus, you make them once, keep them in the fridge, and you've got a grab and go breakfast that supports focus, energy, and mood without thinking about it every single morning. Okay, so let's quickly talk about what's in these because this is where the brain support really comes from. The base is, of course, eggs and cottage cheese. Eggs are rich in choline, which your brain uses for memory, learning, and focus. When someone is dealing with brain fog, attention issues, or mental fatigue, this is a nutrient that's often undersupported. And cottage cheese adds even more protein and gives those egg bites a really creamy texture without needing flour or starch. And that protein matters because your brain relies on amino acids to make neurotransmitters that support focus, mood, and motivation. Now, you'll notice that there isn't a lot of added fat in this recipe. The fat is mostly just used to spray the muffin pan, and you'll see that I don't even spray my muffin pan. The real fats here are naturally coming from the eggs and the cheese, and that is perfectly fine. What does matter a lot is quality. Ideally, you want pastured eggs and dairy from grass-fed cows whenever possible. The nutrient profile is going to be much better, and that matters when we're talking about long-term brain health. Now, today I do not have pastured eggs. The grocery store was out of them, and our chickens are not old enough to lay their own yet. They're almost there. So today I'm using regular eggs, but for cottage cheese, my favorite brand is Good Culture. Daisy is another good option because the ingredient list is very simple. Fewer ingredients, fewer additives. That's what we're aiming for here. Simple, high quality ingredients go a long way when you're trying to support your brain. So the base recipe also calls for cheddar cheese, milk, which is optional. We do have some organic A2 milk, which we'll be using today, but also onion and garlic powder and salt and pepper. Simple, familiar ingredients that work really, really well together. From there, this is where you can start to make it your own. My personal favorite way to make these is more of a Mediterranean inspired. So I like to actually swap the cheddar cheese for goat cheese, and I add some chopped olives, which my husband does not eat, but I love. And a bit of oregano is good. Sometimes I'll add a little bit of chopped spinach, or like today I'm adding some chopped banana peppers. And sometimes I skip them completely. It just depends on what I have on hand, to be honest. So I love this combo that I'm going to be doing today though, because it's flavorful without being super heavy, and it still keeps that protein forward low carb base that helps support focus and steady energy. And this is important. There's nothing magical about my version. The reason this recipe works is it's the foundation. Once you have that, you can change the flavors without losing the brain benefits. So once you have the base recipe down, you can really get creative and rotate flavors so breakfast doesn't feel boring. If you like more savory options, you can add cooked breakfast sausage or turkey sausage with a little onion and garlic powder. Goat cheese or feta works really well here too. For a veggie heavy version, try mushrooms, bell peppers, and zucchini with fresh herbs like parsley or chives. That's a great option if you like something lighter but still filling. And if you want something with a little more bold flavor, smoked salmon with dill and a few capers is a great combination too. It feels fancy, but it's still incredibly easy. As long as you keep the protein-rich base, the rest is pretty flexible. This is about making breakfast work for your brain and your life. So let's talk about prep and cooking because this is one of the easiest parts, to be honest. I actually like to use silicone muffin cups. Here, I'll bring them closer. Mine are very patriotic, red, white, and blue. I use these instead of spraying my muffin pans. And this makes the recipe almost foolproof. You don't need cooking spray. The egg bites literally just slide out really easily and the cleanup is so much faster. So really all we're going to do today is we're going to mix everything together, pour the mixture into the silicone cups and bake it at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about 18 to 20 minutes. That's it. Like I said, the original recipe with all of the amounts is going to be linked in the description below. I will link some silicone muffin cups I recommend as well in the description. That link is an affiliate link, which means that it helps support Oakley Wellness and this channel at no extra cost to you if you choose to purchase through the link. But of course, you can use whatever you already have at home, so that's great too. However, this is one of those small kitchen swaps that makes cooking brain supportive meals feel a lot more doable. So at this point, I'm going to walk you through the process while I make a batch so you can see how simple this really is. Now, once they're done, I just let them cool and then store them in an airtight container in the fridge. It's seriously that simple. They keep really well for several days, which is why I love this recipe so much. On busy mornings, I can just grab a couple and move on with my day. I'll reheat them most of the time, but honestly, sometimes I just eat them cold. My husband thinks that's a little strange, but it works for me. It's still delicious and it still gives me that really steady energy that I want without having to think about it. And having something like this ready to go makes it so much easier to start the day with real fuel instead of defaulting to coffee and hoping for the best. If you want to turn these into a more complete breakfast, you don't need to add a lot. Just be intentional about it. So if you want a little more staying power, pair them with some avocado or a drizzle of olive oil. That extra fat can help you stay satisfied longer. Now, if you tolerate fruit well, a small handful of berries is a great option too. You get fiber and antioxidants without a big blood sugar spike. And then for gut brain support, you can add a small serving of fermented veggies if that's something that your body handles well. And this is exactly how I think about food for brain health. It's not about following a perfect diet 100% of the time or overhauling everything you eat all at once necessarily. It's about taking some simple recipes like this one and making small intentional upgrades so that they actually support your focus, mood, and energy. If you like this idea of using a base recipe and customizing it in a way that works for your brain, you'll love my mini course, How to Make Any Recipe Healthy. In that course, I walk you through how to take the meals that you already enjoy and turn them into low inflammatory, brain supportive options without giving up comfort foods or spending hours in the kitchen. I'll link it below so you can check it out when you're ready. If this was helpful, make sure you give the video a like. It really helps more people find this kind of brain supportive content. And if you're interested in simple science-backed ways to support your brain through food, lifestyle, and everyday habits, go ahead and subscribe to the channel too. I share practical strategies that you can actually use, especially if you're dealing with brain fog, low energy, or feeling like your brain just isn't working the way it used to. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.